hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. In my heart, I can't let go, I'm breaking apart, controlling me, controlling me. All control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal, Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I hope you're having a wonderful night. It's a happy Mother's Day to all of y'all. I hope you're having a great Mother's Day. To all you moms, thank you so much for all you do and all you've done and all you will continue to do. Without you, where would we be? That's what I'm saying. But I hope you guys had a great holiday and spent it with your moms, or, at least enjoying yourselves and paying tribute in some manner to your wonderful mothers, wherever they may be. My mom is far away, but she's doing good, and I talked to her at length today, and it was a nice conversation. I miss her though, but I guess the show must go on. So I hope you're all ready, because it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond special Mother's Day edition. Nothing really special about it except it's Mother's Day, and I'm saying it's the special Mother's Day edition. I have a bunch of stories pulled up. They don't really have anything specifically to do with mothers, but it's just a tip of the hat kind of day, because of course our mothers are amazing and special and incredible people, and I am dying of heat. I've been working all day. I don't know. It's nothing to do with the show or anything. I finally got back to a side project that I started a year ago and was working on it all day. It was really cool to do, but but I'm all sweaty and stinky now. So that's a good thing that this doesn't have smell-o-vision built in, because you wouldn't be liking the portal much right now. That's all I'm saying. It's just I'm pretty ripe sitting here. Whew. So I got a fan blowing on me. I'm trying to cool down, but let's see. The phone lines are always open, ladies and gentlemen. The call board is open, 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 if you want to call in and share something. Maybe it has to do with your mom. Maybe it has to do with a ghost experience, a UFO, something paranormal. Whatever the case may be, your options are there. If you'd rather not call in, you just don't like doing the public speaking thing, or it just freaks you out to call in person, feel free to email your stories to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I'll be happy to share them on the show for you. Although usually if you do send them in, I will save those stories for a Friday or Saturday night, because I love to save those for the network nights. That's when, of course, we have the most people paying attention to what we're doing. And I always consider your emails as a real treat. So I save those for the nights when most people can enjoy them. I see we do have a call right off the bat here, so let's get to this. This is Miss Diane. How you doing, Miss Diane?
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. As it turns out, I do have a paranormal story that happened just today.
Oh, please.
About Mother's Day. It's very appropriate.
Very good.
So as soon as you said call in, it's like, okay, here you go.
Well, great.
Okay, love all you guys, by the way. And yes, Ohio is, well, it's kind of up and down. It's Ohio. It's kind of round on the sides and high in the middle, that's what they say. Anyway, okay, I go to a spiritualist church, like Deb does. Deb is spiritualist, too. A lot of us are. It kind of protects us, because they accept that we deal with spirits. They, totally accept that you're talking with spirits and stuff and dealing with that. So, and that life goes on. So, basically, they give messages at this church from your deceased loved ones a lot of times, or sometimes from your guides. Mm-hmm. And, they have a battery of reverends who do this. And my mom, I felt like she was talking to me today in church, like she was there, and we were like talking back and forth. And then, honestly, it was stuff like, she said, I'm really sorry, you might not have felt like I did everything I could, but I did do everything I was to my ability that I could. And I said, I know you did, Mom. And I said, and I did too. I did all I could for you too. And she says, I know. And then I got a message that was exactly that. Exactly that. Exactly. A lot of times the messages I get are a little vague, but I was thinking to myself, boy, it'd really be nice if I got a confirmation on this, and this wasn't just me wishfully thinking that me and Mom would say this to each other.
Sure.
And I got a major confirmation, because exactly that message came through one of the reverends down there that I really wasn't expecting.
Wow.
Now, my mother was a character. I'm going to tell this one really quick for those who never heard it,
sure,
if you don't mind.
No, by all means.
Okay. When my mom passed, they couldn't get a hold of me right away because I had lost my phone, and I had been hearing knocks and stuff, and it sounded like somebody dropping a ping pong ball on the ceiling 3 times. And I'm thinking, what the heck is my neighbor doing up there? And because I have somebody living above me.
Sure.
But she was in the nursing home, and I guess they couldn't get a hold of me. But I was hearing like noises around the place and everything, in this funny knocking on the ceiling. And I'm thinking, oh, gee, is that something going on, because it's me. But
Uh-huh.
I was really busy. So here, finally, my boyfriend at the time comes in. They had his number, and they got a hold of him. He came in and told me. And I'm there. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't know. I was thinking, too bad I couldn't be there, and so on and so forth. But I couldn't, and it was just very sad. But then when I went to her viewing,
Mm-hmm.
she was standing by her casket. And I hear that this is actually quite common, that almost always, and it's usually at least the women who see it,
Uh-huh.
but quite often men do too. And it's so common that when I actually told a psychiatrist about it, he said, no, it's too common, it's normal. I classify it as being normal because I hear it all the time. Even if you don't see your father, a lot of people see the father too,
Uh-huh.
but even if you don't see him, you will probably see your mom after she passes. It
Oh,
just seems to be a normal thing that happens
wow.
to people. Um, so he didn't classify it as being anything strange. I was a little afraid to
Yeah,
tell him because I was going through grief counseling.
sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was very hard. She died from complications of Alzheimer's.
Oh.
So it was rough, 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 you know.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, it's actually a funny disease. It's not so hard on them until the very end, but it's hard on every loved one around them
Right.
because they forget who you are, they forget who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all your history is gone, and it's very, 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 very hard.
Right.
So, so basically, um, I saw her by her casket, and she's dressed in a dress from the 50s, which she said was one of her favorite time periods because I was a little kid and she loved raising her own little kid. And I thought, okay, well, she's back in the era that she's happiest in her little whatever world that.
Right.
But I said, Mom, were you trying to get a hold of me these last few days because strange things have been happening? And she said, yeah. She said, yeah. I said, well, can you tell me what you were doing? And she goes, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. And she did a little dance.
Do you want to
And
know?
if any of you knew my mother, you would say, yeah, that was her, all right.
I used your story. You wrote it into the show a long time ago, and I used that for the very first episode of our podcast as
Oh,
one of the
really?
stories. Yep.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm honored.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
very honored.
oh, you thank
But
you.
yeah, if there, and so I met somebody online who said, I am 100% convinced that when it ends for me, it's all over. And so you guys, sorry about your luck. You're gone too. And he was making a joke of it. No, it's all over. Everything's over. There's nothing beyond. And I said, that's really funny because I'm like 100% convinced that it never ends, ever.
Well, yeah, and you actually have the benefit of actually having ended and come back, and so you
Yeah.
you so you can say with pretty clear authority that this isn't the end.
Yeah, I brought that up, and he says, "Oh, well, yeah, but that's not really proof. It's not really evidence." I said, if
Yeah.
it happened to
Wow.
you, it might be. You
Wow.
might consider it evidence of,
Such
because
arrogance.
there are millions of people now,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, from what the psychiatrist said, there are also millions of people. Most people, in fact, a majority of people, see their mother after she passes.
Huh.
So now tell me something isn't going on here. Tell me this is we're
Right.
all having a collective mass hallucination. It's not really happening. It's all in our collective heads. Well, I hate to tell you, but if this is a simulation like we're thinking it might be, it very, very almost certainly is,
Hmm.
well, then everything is all in our heads, and you might as well just deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm trying to put the best. I was crying earlier, so I had
Well,
to tell the funny story.
I know, and I'm glad that you got the affirmation that you did because that's, of course, really cool and it's really powerful to know that you are communicating with her and she's still with you, and I think that's very very powerful.
I just want to give everybody the word from somebody who's been there. Your mom, even if she's passed, and even after she's passed now, honestly, hug her while you can
Hmm.
and tell her what you need to tell her before she passes. But your loved ones are not that far away. They go on, and you can talk to them. And even if you can't see them and you can't hear them, like a lot of people can't yet, I think you will someday if
Right.
you keep your mind open. But you can talk to them and tell them maybe stuff that you never got a chance to tell them. And you know what? They'll hear you. They will.
Hmm.
I have some proof of that. So I love you guys, and I wanted you to know that, and I wanted to remind you your loved ones are not that far, and if you uh, are missing your mother on this day, just talk to her like she was there, and she will hear you.
Right.
Okay, I love you guys. That's all I had to say tonight.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for saying it, and we love you too. And have a wonderful night, and happy Mother's Day to you.
You too.
All right, take care. It's always wonderful to hear from Miss D. Diane Swiger. She's been a long time friend and guest and contributor to the show. It's always great to hear from her. She's got such a great energy. You can't help but giggle with her, you know. Oh my God, I'm thirsty. Oh, all right, ladies and gentlemen. So I got some stuff pulled up for you, and I guess I should start by beginning to read that stuff. But if you anybody else wants to call in, the lines are open. I'm glad to hear from you. That's always an option here in the portal. All right, so let me get to this. Oh, this one's a long one. Oh my God. All right, so I'm gonna have to do some reading here. So not pay attention, but be patient. Rather, I'll get through this. This one's coming from North Carolina tonight. The first one on deck, and sorry, I'm just just one of those days and nights. All right, North Carolina. What's going on in North Carolina? Well, let's find out. Uh, okay, blah 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 blah. I was spending the night with a friend, so I had to share a bed with her. That's a girl thing, I guess, because guys would just sleep on the floor, but I consider this girl the sister I never had. So I'm in bed preparing for what I thought was just another sleepless night. And I've come to love and dread my insomnia in equal proportion because it keeps away the nightmares. Huh. When I fell asleep, normally I don't have the dreams of my spirit or whatever he may be, but that's what I will call him, as spirit sounds better than thing. Excuse me. Or of anything else connected to the abnormal ghosts, etc. When I'm at her house. But that night I did, and it was an awful sort of dream, the sort you can't remember when you wake up, save for bits and pieces. All you get is that horrible fear and paranoia. But in this dream, something grabbed me. And at that exact time, my friend grabbed me in my sleep. Oh, God, that's horrible. That would not be so weird, maybe even sort of funny in a way, but she has never once in all the years I've known her, and there's been a lot, ever been the sort of sleeper to do that. She mostly snores and doesn't bother the person next to her unless they bother her, which usually means her kicking me back after I kick her for the 100th time that night. So I scream, jump up out of bed, running to the door because I know something is there and it wants to kill me. Later, the rational part of my mind tells me I ran because I thought it had already got my friend and was going to get me too. But that was what I wanted myself to believe, not what I really thought, because what I really thought was the thing from my dream, it was there. It was in her, and it was going to use her to hurt me. I wasn't coherent enough to think the word possession then, but later that's what I came to. I know that in spite of the myths, actual possession is pretty rare, so they may not have been the actual case, and I hope to God it isn't, because that would mean I somehow put one of my friends in danger. Thinking that what meant to harm me was in her, I ran, and I wasn't running from it. I was running from her, because even if something bad was using her to hurt me, it was still her, and I would never hurt her, even to defend myself. She's been the best friend since we were little kids, and I couldn't bring myself to do that. So I ran, still screaming, apparently, because my friend's sister ran to the door. Now, whether this is sleepwalking or not, I'm not sure, because I can remember screaming, jumping up, and starting to run, but this conversation, I can't. And I've been known to talk in my sleep, and I have sleptwalked before in the past, only once, but it could happen again. According to her, I told her there's something there. I said it a few times, and I was really freaked out, really afraid. She told me it was my friend, and when she did, I gave her this weird look, like I was confused and didn't even know what she was talking about. After that, I crawled back in, and my friend asked me what was going on. She was lying down, but when I jumped off the bed, she had been sitting up. That seemed weird to me, but I was so embarrassed. I had one of my screaming dreams there. I didn't mention it. No one really knows about these things, as I don't want them dragging me off to seek mental health for my own good, as I can hear them saying. I blew it off, decided it was just one of those things happening, and then a few days ago I woke up in the middle of the night and heard something moving around in my room. It felt like it was in my closet or in my bathroom, sort of like a mouse moving around but 10 times louder, and a sort of rattling, clicking sound, and I wanted to get up to go see, but this voice in my head told me not to, saying, if you open that door, whatever it is, will kill you. So I was going to listen, but I was tired, so tired of being afraid to even sleep at night. So I was going to get up and that voice in my head, the voice of common sense, most likely, arguing with me all the while. Then in the end, I decided not to, fear not stopping me, but modesty, as I was only wearing one of my dad's old t-shirts, and it didn't cover much skin. Still, I sat there trying not to breathe too loud, praying harder than I ever prayed to God to just please whatever it was, not let it hurt me, which says a lot since I haven't been praying that much lately, or even been been the best of Christians that I could be. I don't know where it was. I guess life has me questioning my faith occasionally, and I wanted to take some time to figure that out in my head. Not that I don't believe, I really do. God is love. Everything else can kind of slip away from time to time, I think. As long as you believe in God, that is all that is good. But this isn't about religion, although in some cases, the things on this site, it can be tied together. I haven't slept much since then, not more than about 30 minutes at a time, which isn't all that bad because I don't want to wake up to that again. What scares me is, what if I was right and my friend was possessed? That would mean I brought this on innocent people. I knew there was something bad at there. My spirit warned me of something once, though I can hardly remember. I know it would never hurt. It would never be my spirit. He is more likely to play the role of guardian or protector. He would never hurt me. I care for him. I'm honest, and even if I'm honest, I even love him in a strange sort of way. The thing is, I'm pretty sure that whatever this bad thing is, I could bring it to me. I've heard people who are very in tune with each other having the same dream, and it's possible I can talk to spirits in my head, and then I'm sure me and my best friend having the same dream is possible. And what if somehow I let it get her? If she was in fact possessed, which I do not like to believe. I think maybe it could. Well, there's a lot of them now. That was three of them, huh? Um, where was I? I think maybe it could be somehow accidentally. I could somehow accidentally call it to me. Once it was around a year or a year and a half ago, I was able to call my spirit. Or maybe that's not the best way to describe it, and I haven't ever really discussed it in detail before because it really does make me sound loopy. What happened was I was convincing myself he was not real, that he was some silly, illogical childhood fantasy that I had created and was crazy enough to believe, but I couldn't let him go without saying goodbye, so I tried to find him, to get him to find me, but I couldn't, so I brought myself to him. I was lying in bed, not asleep, but eyes closed, concentrating. And then after a while, I was in the place where we always were, in the dark, and he was there. I could still feel my body in the bed. Every nerve felt alive, and I could feel the bed under me, but I felt everything that happened there, too. I cried there, and I could feel it in my bed, though I wasn't crying in there. I hugged him, spoke to him, and I felt it in both places, and I don't know what to call it, but it was like I was actually there and still at home in bed at the same time. It could be an out of body experience, but I don't think it was. I know that I was there and that I had made us meet, and I don't know how. I could never make it happen again, which was fine, as it gave me the world's worst headache trying, but what if I did and found the bad thing? The other day I was walking, and out of nowhere, I had a scratch on my arm. Not deep, sort of the scratch that you would get if someone caught your arm to get your attention and their nails scraped you by mistake. But it was there, out of thin air, and I told my family, and they told me I must have ran into something and not noticed until then. I am clumsy, but that could not be true. Oh, and that could be true. Only it isn't. I know it. I feel it. When I sleep, I wake up, my whole body hurting, my head splitting. And when I dream, I wake up terrified but not remembering. And the only dream I remember is me lost in a forest. It's snowing, and I come to a clearing, fall, get up, or give up, and then my spirit is there and holding down a hand to help. I take the hand and then wake up. That is okay because I'm happy to have my spirit back, but I wonder why he's back and think it may be because of the other things. He may really want to help me. What's worse is I think this other thing, the bad one, may want to hurt my spirit. And I can't let that happen. Oh dear. This story's driving me crazy. All right. Sorry, this is one of those that I'm like, huh? I love him as if I really knew him. Maybe I did in a past life or something, but in my dream when he puts down his hand to help me up, it's like I found something I've been searching for my entire life. This sounds like something in those corny romantic comedy, but it isn't like that. Well, it does sound like that. You're right. It's like the feeling whole. I know I'm becoming too attached to him. I go months without seeing him, and then when I do, in spite of why, I'm absolutely happy. Sorry, I can't help but roll my eyes. I don't know. I'll go over it after the end, but I want him to find peace, and I think he wants me to help. But this thing, I think it's in his way, and I'm not sure. Me and my spirit don't talk much these days. It's always the same darn forest, the same darn ending. And I think I hear this thing physically. If it can touch me, and it can possibly possess someone I know, then I think I'm in over my head, and I don't want it to hurt me. And more importantly, I don't want it to hurt someone I love, my friends and my family. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make it go away. So if anyone knows how to handle it, please tell me. Thanks for reading. Uh, I hate to ever draw conclusions because I don't think that's really fair, but sometimes you read something and just from a real intuitive place, for me anyway, I just know that this is kind of a Twilight thing, and it's a fantastical, not that the person couldn't be experiencing something paranormal, but I think they're entirely misinterpreting everything that's going on, and they've created this whole Twilight drama around it. And it's just the romanticization of spirituality. I don't know. I shouldn't be judgmental, and I'm sorry if that's offensive. I don't mean it to be, but I can't help it. Sometimes I read stories and I'm like, you're really creating a whole lot out of what may be much more innocent things. I don't know. This is just one of those stories, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just I don't know. I don't know what to say. So I don't know what you guys think, but maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you feel like I'm being harsh. I don't know. I can't help it, though. I just got to be honest. Next one's coming out of Illinois, ladies and gentlemen. Illinois. This one's not too long. This is, it's like 3 a.m. in June, and it's really dark in the house, and I'm knocked out of a deep sleep by a scream. This isn't the normal screaming I'm used to. This isn't, oh dear, I've stabbed myself with a kitchen implement. Nor was it, good Lord, that... What the hell? This guy's trying to be a comedian. Nor was it, good Lord, that fecal expurgation was distressingly large, and I feel that I may have torn something loose down there. This was real fear. It was, I just saw a freaking ghost. I ran downstairs, my mind blank with concern, and I found Connor standing in the dining room, all the lights on, wailing. I grabbed him and asked what was wrong, checking him for blood, automatically adding up to his extremities. He was perfectly fine and white as a sheet, and I asked him what happened. I saw a ghost. Now, my kids hate my inflexible stance on the paranormal, a stance immovable and fixed. It's one rung below noodling and NASCAR on the rung to true redneck gothic stupidity, and I don't buy it. I don't believe in psychics, Bigfoot, or Bermuda Triangle, no money down, refinance claims, or ghosts. This guy's really clever. It just doesn't happen. As much as I enjoy reading about it, and as thrilling as it may seem, I think it's a big bucket of self-aggrandizement and delusion, and the precipice off which one can gape into the wide wiggly valley of Bonkerville. Bottom. It said bottom. Yeah, I think this story comes right off the bottom. That isn't to say I won't tell a good ghost story. I've turned entire ranks of Cub Scouts into wild-eyed, wigged-out believers, and I made them cry and beg me not to tell another story. I've had parents tell me maybe I ought to tell some jokes instead. I can lay into it. And I've met men who've spent their lives in the pursuit of dignity and providence, men who are not easily shaken, men who would stare down the barrel of a gun, and they were the kind of guys you vote for, pillars of character, and they told me they'd seen a ghost, yet I don't buy it. I just don't. But I'm closer now than I've ever been. If I shield my eyes and squint, I can barely see the idea of ghosts being real, like trying to make out the opposite shore of a long lake, and I'm closer not because of Connor's recent scare. I'm closer because of my dog. Connor didn't want me to talk about what happened that night. He came upstairs and slept fitfully between me and my attorney. What? He sleeps with his attorney? The next day, Connor explained that he'd looked out his bedroom door and seen a face looking around the door jamb and then jerked back out of sight. He said he saw it and then he screamed, and I told him it was probably just part of a dream that got mixed up with some nighttime noise and not to worry about it. And he bought it, or at least seemed to. But several months later, yesterday actually, out of nowhere, he told me what happened. We're driving back from downtown, just the two of us, and he tells me this version. He says he woke up, Ty, the dog was whining. He sat up in bed, and Ty was standing next to the bed, looking out the door, stock still. Connor looked up and saw a person dressed in nightclothes with white hair pulled back, and he said they looked into his room and seemed amused. Connor said the dog backed up. Connor said it took him a long time to scream. He said he had to make it happen. Then he said he screamed for a long time before I got there. Of course, The sister never woke up. I've told you before what? I've told you before our dog is gay, and I mean that in a good way. Our gay friends know how to nurture, and Ty is no exception. When Connor gets hurt, Ty is all over him, tail wagging like crazy, licking and nudging, as if he's saying, "It's all right, you'll be okay, don't worry, I'm licking you. Everything is good, lick, lick, lick." But then, when I raced downstairs to deal with the screaming, when I skidded into the dining room and found Connor too afraid to come upstairs or go back into his room, the thing I forgot until yesterday is this. Ty's tail was dragging on the floor, and he was standing with his furry butt backed up to the window, and he was not happy. He was as far away from the hallway bathroom as he could get, still as a statue, looking over my shoulder. Now, perhaps Connor enjoyed a delusional moment of frightened and sudden neuroses. Maybe a moth flew into his room, maybe nothing happened and he just had a dream. But the dog? Ty does nothing but wag his tail, lick people, and run around trying to figure out where we're going to walk next. He never stands still, ever. Even if he's in stay, he's twitching and sweeping the floor with his tail, and smiling and panting and drooling all over himself. But this time, nothing. Backed up against the wall, afraid of the bathroom. So there you have it. I do agree. Dogs will pick it up. All right. The next one is from Louisiana. Louisiana, ladies and gentlemen. I like Louisiana. I was down there at Nolans and was down there just after Mardi Gras. I like the French Quarter a lot. I really do. Like, I could see myself hanging out in the French Quarter all the time. But I was there after Mardi Gras, and the whole place smelled like urine. It was terrible. It was just after Mardi Gras, and you know those people are not using bathrooms. They're just going wherever they can find a corner. And, man, it still smelled like a lot of human pee. But I still liked it. I sat in Jackson Square and gelled out, just watching people. It was really cool. Really good vibe. I just really like the vibe. Now, this is pre-Hurricane New Orleans. I don't know what it's like now. I haven't been back down, and, I was only there that one time. But if it's still the same, that'd be awesome. I'd love to go back down there and hang out. I know we got some people from New Orleans listening to the show, so I hope they'll let me know. Is it the same, or did the hurricane really screw that up? I guess I never thought to ask. I know a lot of neighborhoods are still screwed up, but I wonder about the French Quarter. All right, so let's go to Louisiana and see what's going on. There were a lot of times when I have come face to face with a ghost. In my old house, I used to always see a ghost-looking figure in my hallway, and my family always used to always bring up ghost stories about the house, but I didn't pay it any attention because I thought that was the past. But one day, I was in the living room watching TV when this flash of light ran across the hall. So I jumped up and went towards the door, getting ready to run outside because I thought someone had broken into the house. I swear to God, I've already read this one. Maybe I didn't close it before. I'll just read it again because I'm already halfway through it. It's very short. I thought someone had broken into my house and was trying to do something to me, but I never left the house. Then this strange-looking thing ran across the hall again. I could only see the bottom and never could see the top. Only his legs were visible, and the rest of the body was invisible. I asked my mom what the strange-looking figure that runs across the hall at times, and she asked, how did it look? And then I explained it to her, and then she said that she's seen the same figure, and she always used to see it at times, and that she never did discover what it is or why does it appear. I thought I was the only person seeing this kind of ghost, but then I just started asking more people in my house if they had seen such a thing before, and they all said yeah, and they have, and that they just wanted to keep it to themselves. So this strange figure has been a mystery even until this day. Yeah, I did read that one before. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. It's a rerun segment on the portal, but, it's a ghost story. You can never hear them too much, can you? All right, now I think, I'm going upwards here. Let me do this one and this one. And this one. Pulling up a fresh batch of fun for you guys right now. Let's see, we're at 40 minutes. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, so this one's coming out of Colorado. Not too long, a little long, but not too bad. My best friend in the world is named Abby, and she and I have known each other since birth. And actually, we went to the hospital and saw her the day after she was born. Since birth, known each other since birth. Oh, okay. Of course, I don't really remember because I was only 8 months old at the time. She and I are closer than any of my 8 other family members to this day. There was a time in her life that was really terribly difficult. Her father, the best man in the world, had cancer in his esophagus, and after his surgery, he couldn't eat solid foods for a couple of months, but after his throat healed, the doctors thought he was okay. That is until blood started coming out when he used the bathroom, and then they discovered that he had cancer in his liver and several other places in his body. That's horrible. Abby, of course, took all of this very hard. Her parents were constantly on the road looking for clinics that they could try and cure him, and Abby ended up staying with me on and off for a couple of months. And her main place to stay, though, was her parents' friends, Cindy and Dwight. They had a bedroom for her and everything, and one night, Abby had this horrible dream that her dad was lying in a hospital bed. He told her he was dying, and she asked if it was the cancer, and he said, "No, I don't have lungs anymore." Of course, Abby woke up bawling and confused. It was a snow day that day, and she called me at 9 a.m. and told me about the dream, and she was staying with Cindy and Dwight at the time because of her parents were up in Minneapolis. And I told her not to worry. Her dad would be home that day and everything would be fine. And she told me she didn't think so in the saddest voice she's ever used. And I secretly agreed with her. A couple hours later, my mom told me the news. Abby's dad had died. In a shaky, hushed voice, I asked if it was cancer that killed him, and she said no, it was all the radiation in his body from chemotherapy. It caused his lungs to literally flatten and fail. Ugh. Abby called me later that night on our way to Minneapolis, and she and I talked for 4 hours about random stuff, and we only talked once about her dad. And then she said she'd rather not think about it, so we just joked with each other, laughing until tears came down our eyes. And Abby, the same Abby as always, even after the loss. A couple of days later, when she came home, she told me about another dream. Her father was on a giant stage. He loved the theater and acted in many, many plays around our area, acting as the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz. He looked over at Abby in the middle of his solo, winked, and told her that he was fine now. He told her he was so sorry about her other dream, but he needed to warn her. He told her he loved her, and then she woke up. Sorry, I know this is long, but I had to share it. Thanks for your time. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful dreams. I mean, yeah, it's horrible news to hear that your parent is dying, but if the parent is the one that comes to you in your dream and tells you, isn't that a beautiful thing, though? It doesn't make it, I suppose it doesn't make it less painful, but maybe it makes it a little more beautiful. Maybe. I don't know. All right, the next one is from Minnesota, my old stomping grounds. And Duke's as well. Is Duke in here? No, I don't see him. I'm not sure who's in here, actually. Sorry, guys. I've been paying attention. I'm really just running on fumes today. I'm so sorry. Who is in here? Yeah, Duke's in here. Okay, Julia's in here. Duke's in here. Diane Swiger's in here. Gemini's in here. Jessica's in here. MCAT's, Nick Williams, Rand Electric, Ken is in here, and Wee Mac is in here. I know there's more in here, but not all of them are chatting. I see Don's in here. Good to see you, Don, and Aussie Tiger Rock fam, sorry. And October Storm is here. Is that October Storm? Okay. What are we in for? He's in here. Thanks, Lewis. I appreciate that. We're all here. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. All right, so let's see what's going on in Minnesota. Minnesota nights can be breathtakingly cold and are normally so dark you can't see 10 feet in front of you if it's in the winter, yeah. But when the moon is able to sneak out from behind the winter clouds, its reflection glistens off the snow covered ground, and it lights pathways deep into the forest. And I grew up along a beautiful lake in a country setting. That's like 90% of Minnesota. There's like 10,000 lakes there. Actually, a lot more than that, but that's just the tagline for the state is the land of 10,000 lakes. It was serene and a wonderful place to make childhood memories. However, the house that we lived in had its own eccentricities. One particular late winter night proved that our family has not been living in, was proved that our family was not been living in the house. I don't know what the hell that means. That's a poorly written sentence. I apologize, but I can only read it as it's written. After a couple hours of evening TV, our family retired to our separate bedrooms. My brother to his at the end of the hallway, my parents and baby sister to the master, and me the first room off the dining room. It had been a long school day, and I was exhausted, and as normal, I left my bedroom door open just a crack so that my small dog could enter if he wanted to, undetected, and snuggle up for the night. I turned down the bedspread and jumped into bed, falling asleep almost immediately. Curiously, I awakened in the middle of the night, and I was not in a daze as if just coming out of a dream. Rather, I was alert immediately. I glanced at the clock on the dresser, which was glowing 3:20 a.m. in its digital red numbers, and the moonlight was filtering through the night. Then I heard a noise in the basement below my bedroom. It was a familiar noise, but strange at the same time. The basement wasn't carpeted, but had a full apartment which was used to house the previous owner's son, and the apartment was separated from the downstairs laundry by a large, solid wood pocket door, which is always kept open while we lived in the house. The pocket door has been installed many years before on a sturdy metal track, which had a distinct rolling sound as the door was opened or closed. And this is the noise that I heard. I wasn't immediately alarmed by the noise in the basement. My mom had been known to wake up early to do laundry before I was old enough to help, and so I listened for a moment, closing my eyes and wanting to go back to sleep. It wasn't until I heard the footsteps on the wooden stairs leading from the basement to the kitchen that I knew that this wasn't my mom. My heart started to race, and I listened more intently to the heavy, methodical steps being taken by the intruder as they came closer to the landing in the kitchen at the top of the stairs. The footsteps did not stop at the top of the stairs. They continued across the kitchen linoleum in the same rhythm. The sound was eerie and is still vivid in my memory today, 30 years later. They didn't get any louder as they crossed the linoleum, as I expected they should if the intruder was coming towards my room. All of a sudden, they stopped. Oh my gosh. The intruder was on the carpet. I yanked my bedding over my head, expecting the worst and barely breathing from the fear that I was to be discovered. I laid there stiffly so that I wouldn't move. There was nothing. My door didn't swing open. No more footsteps, no voices. It seemed like a lifetime, but I gradually dozed off. At the breakfast table the next morning, I nonchalantly asked my mom if she'd been up wandering around the previous night, and to my amazement, she screamed and started crying. She asked what time, and I told her through her tears, and she said she had heard the exact same thing for the past 4 nights in the exact same time. To this day, we have no idea what or who it was, but we didn't hear it again after that conversation. I also never understood why our dog didn't bark. Some years later, after we had moved out of the house, we discovered that the son of the previous owners had hung himself in the basement. This has been our only clue. Yeah. Well, that's a really, really, really terribly unfortunate. Ugh, I don't know. I know life gets heavy and hard, man, but God, you got to hang on. You got to believe that things can get better or they will get better. Ay, that's the kind of pain that just doesn't go away ever. All right, so let's see where we at. We'll do. Let me see how long is this. Oh dear God, that's a long one. Let's do a shorter one. I'm just sorry, I don't have a lot left in the tank tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just exhausted. So I'll read you another short one, and we'll call it a night because it'll be about 55 minutes of show time tonight. I think that's pretty fair, right? So let's read this one. Let's go to California. When I was 15, my friend Lisa spent the night in the Chula Vista house. With me, rather. Sorry. I just kind of left that part out. Lisa was 14 and was my best friend that I met when I was 9 years old. And when we were younger, she experienced a lot of footsteps in the house. However, this night was different. We were listening to music in my room, and as I was starting to get tired, I laid down on my twin bed, and Lisa was sitting down near my feet. Lisa was just sitting there singing along, and we were listening to the song Daddy by Korn. Great taste. And Lisa told me to turn it up, but when I did, the CD ejected. I pushed it back in and pressed play, and it started playing the first song on the disc. I tried to press skip to go back to Daddy, but it wouldn't skip. It just stayed on the first song, so I just left it alone. In the middle of the first song, it skipped on its own to Daddy, and I told Lisa, this stupid thing is broken. And when I looked up at her, I saw a piece of her hair lift up from her head, jerked back a little bit, and her head jerked back a little bit, and I thought she was trying to mess with me and scare me until she got mad and told me to stop pulling her hair. I said, I'm way over here. How could I have pulled your hair? At that moment, we booked it out of the room, leaving the CD playing. We decided not to go back into the room that night. We were actually so creeped out, we slept in the travel trailer my dad had parked in the driveway. Yeah, that'll mess up your slumber party in a hurry. Huh. Very crazy. So I guess that's about it. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We love you, and thank you for the gift of your love and all that you've done and will continue to do in our lives. There's nothing more special than a mom. And, I'm a dad myself, and I even recognize that. Moms are just special, but we dads do the best we can anyway. So, but have a great rest of the holiday, whatever's left. Have a great beginning of the week. I'll be back tomorrow night again for the Bedtime Stories. And remember, our new podcast is Monday, Wednesday, Friday releases. So tomorrow we got another one on deck. It's part 2 of the Black Eyed Kids stories, and I hope you guys will check it out. And if you're not familiar with that show, that's also the birth of one of the most intense Donisms ever. And if you're not familiar with the show, or if you're newer to the show, that's a must hear, is all I'm going to say. It's a funny episode. So anyway, I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I'll be back tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. I love you guys. Have a great Monday, and I'll be here waiting for you for the bedtime stories. So sweet dreams, everybody.